Well, today, everybody, in this video, I want to give you guys a quick and easy music theory lesson. Let's get into it. So I'm not going to waste any of your guys' time. I'm going to jump on into it right now. All I ask that you guys support me in any and every which way, okay? If that means like this video, subscribe, follow me on any sort of social media or streaming service platform, I really appreciate it. All right, thank you so much. All right, music theory. It is not complicated. I deem it about as complicated as third grade math when we were in elementary school, okay? It's a series of notes, and it's a series of patterns, okay? Good news, there's only 12 notes in music. No more, no less. There's different pitches and octaves. However, there's only 12 notes. So if you can count to 12, which I'm pretty sure you can, you'll be all right, okay? So all the notes in music are as follows, starting with the note A. A sharp slash B flat, B, C sharp slash D flat, D sharp slash E flat, E, F sharp slash G flat, G, and then G sharp slash A flat. In between all of those notes, it's a half step apart, okay? A half step means one semitone in music. So if you go from A to A sharp slash B flat, that is a half step, one semitone. And a whole step, you guessed it, is two semitones. And that is, for example, A to B. There are certain tones that have two different names for it. For example, A sharp is also called B flat, and that is called enharmonic, meaning A sharp is the enharmonic note of B flat. And enharmonic is just a fancy way to same pitch, just can be called a different name depending on the scale. Now, I want to break a myth really quick, okay? So I've heard this a lot on the internet, and I want to prove it incorrect. So the myth is that when we're deciding on when to call a note a sharp or a flat, it's as follows. When we go up, it is sharp, and when we go down, it is flat. So, for example, if we're starting at A natural, going up, we call it A sharp. And if we're going from B natural and we go down, we call it B flat. That is 1000% incorrect. The act of going up or down is sharpening and flattening, sure. However, it's all dependent on the scale. So we're going to talk about that right now. Let's get into some scales. So just because we have all 12 notes in music does not mean we have to play all of them. There's a series of whole steps and half steps in certain scale formulas that when we play said formula, whole steps and half steps, it manifests a scale. So for example, the major scale, the granddaddy scale is as follows. Whole step, half step, whole step, half step. Again, whole step, half step, whole step, half step. You follow that, you have a major scale. So I am in E standard right now on my Dean custom thoroughbred. If I have the note E right here, and I go whole step, half step, whole step, half step, that is a major scale. And if you notice the difference between whole steps and half steps on the fretboard as it pertains to guitar, a half step is one fret apart, up or down, and a whole step is, you guessed it, 2 frets, up or down. So for example, whole step, half step. It is inferred in music theory that the major scale is in fact the most important scale. Everything can be traced back to the major scale, whether that is the pentatonic scale, minor or major pentatonic, modes when we're talking about different, keys inside of keys, the minor scale, the evil twin, we'll say, of the major scale, etc. There's a whole bunch of stuff that can be traced back to the major scale. All of that's for a different lesson and a different video, but I'm just trying to convey to you all that the major scale is the most important. Speaking of the evil twin, let's talk about the minor scale. The minor scale, just like the major scale, is a series of whole steps and half steps, and when you follow them, it manifests said minor scale. So the formula is as follows. Whole step, half step, whole step, half step, whole step, whole step. Again, whole half, whole, half, whole. Now using that low E on my guitar, follow that pattern, and an E minor scale will appear. Now, I want to show you guys my favorite scale, the A major scale. I want to show you it on one string, so here we go. But that's not very practical, just going up and down. etc. Like, that's not very practical as a musician, right? Because, as a guitar player, I should say, because we have 5 other strings that we can use. Now, I want to give you guys my favorite pattern, the 3 note per string major scale pattern. In 1 octave, it's as follows. And if you listen, it's the same exact set of notes that I was using on the 1 string pattern, but now we're being smarter and we're using it on all the other strings that are available to us. And to finish out that scale pattern, I'll use all 6 strings. It's as follows. And if you notice, I was trying to put some inflection in that scale pattern. There's 3 A's in that pattern. Here, here, and here. So listen with your ears. So it technically ends for the second time on the B string, but we have the first string, aka the 6th string. So it really goes about 2.5 times there. Let me show you an A minor scale pattern. So A minor is here, and that is here. And then 3 note per string pattern. So I use those scales literally every single day whenever I'm creating or practicing. Any of you guys check out any sort of my original music, you guys will know all the time that like I am constantly riff writing and I'm constantly inside of a key and a mode and a scale, and I'm always using that as a reference point. Like songs like Strawberry Mansion, Fever Dream, Subtle Comeback, Kick It, Fission especially, that's a really good example. All of those are really dependent and reliant on a specific key that I chose as I was creating the song. So I know it may not be the most important thing right now, but I want you to understand something. This stuff right here is so crucial, and I'm not wasting my time and my breath for you guys. I'm telling you guys this is so important, and I encourage you guys to learn this stuff because this is the fundamental backbone of understanding music theory and being able to comprehend it and apply it in any tuning, in any key, in any set of genres that you have that you want to write in, any sort of number of strings on your guitar, etc. So I'm in standard tuning right now. Not the heaviest thing in the world, not the most metal thing in the world, right? So what happens if I do the almighty drop D? Take that same concept from before of using the low string as my reference point. What happens if I go D major now and I go like this? Now I can manifest a major scale in drop D, and if I wanted to write a riff in drop D, I could use this as my roadmap, as my guideline. So the song Fission was written in D major. I recorded it in C sharp major, it's a half step down, but I used D major as my roadmap to write the main hook, the main riff, and it goes like this. So when I wrote that 5 years ago now, which is crazy to think about, when I wrote that 5 years ago, I was using D major as my guideline, and I was in a drop tuning, and I was able to still apply music theory. And now I want to circle back to something I brought up in the beginning of this video, and that is sharps and flats. Okay, when is a note sharp and when is a note flat? Well, in a scale, listen to me, in a scale, each of the alphabetical letters gets represented one time and one time only. Okay, I'll say that again. In a scale, for example, in a major scale, but all scales, but in a major scale, for example, all the alphabetical letters get represented one time and one time only. Nothing is skipped and nothing is duplicated, okay? So for example, let's take D major. I'll put it up on the screen right now. I've got it memorized, but it goes as follows. D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, and D. Get rid of all the sharps. There's 2 sharps in that scale, but get rid of the sharps. Notice it's just all the alphabetical letters represented one time before we get to the end, and that's the octave, and then that scale will essentially start all over again, infinitely, technically. To make that fit perfectly, let's take a look at the D, E, F sharp to G spot right there. What happens if I go D, E, I have to think about it wrongly. What happens if I go D, E, G flat, G? Because technically G flat and F sharp are the exact same pitch and note, but they're called differently in different scenarios. This is exactly what I'm talking about. To fix that duplication and that omitting of the F representative in the scale, we have to call it an F sharp there. D, E, F sharp, G, because again, the alphabetical pattern has to go and we can't skip letters. So that further proves the point of like, you don't have to call something a sharp when you're ascending and then when you're descending, calling it a flat. Because if I was in the key of D major, ascending, I would go D, E, F sharp, G, and then, oh, I'm going backwards. I'm descending now. G, G flat, E, D. Like, that's way too much work. It doesn't matter which way you're going, up or down in the scale. The notes are always going to be called the same thing. It's not where you're starting from and where you're going to sharp or flat. To me, that doesn't make any sense because it's kind of crazy and kind of silly, right? So that is a great way to further disprove the myth of like, when is a note a sharp or flat? Oh, when you're ascending, sharp, descending, flat. That is false. That is not correct, okay? These are the fundamentals of music theory, and I just wanted to give you guys a quick, little, easy introduction, kind of bite-sized lesson. If you guys can conquer this, you're well on your way, and you're separating yourself from your peers that much more, all right? Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments of this quick little lesson. I would love to hear from you guys, and I would love to fine-tune my videos and make them better and help you guys and educate you guys better every single time, okay? So, love to hear from you guys down below in the comments. Again, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, do all the YouTube things. I really sincerely appreciate you guys, and be sure to follow me and support me in any and every which way, whether that's social media, my own original music, whatever you got. I really, really appreciate you. All right, everybody, I'm out of here. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in a video very, very soon. Later.